Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast. Today is Tuesday, October 4th, 2022. Today, I'm going to go over the Monday Night Football result from yesterday and Major League Baseball. Look ahead to today's baseball games. NHL and NBA preseason games. Look ahead to today's games at each of the preseasons. NFL Power Rankings, NHL Center Rankings, Dancing with the Stars recap, news and notes, and best bet. We'll start with Monday Night Football. An interesting game last night, division rival game, as the 49ers come out on top by a score of 24-9 as the Fab Five goes to an ugly 1-3 on the week. San Fran improves to 2-2. Rams drop to 2-2. Jimmy Garoppolo, good bounce back game for him, 16-27, 239 yards and a touchdown. And Matt Stafford was awful, 32 of 48, 254 yards and a pick six. That pretty much sealed the game for the 49ers. Alrighty, now we'll move on to baseball. We'll go over some key games from yesterday and look ahead to the games being played today. Royals over the Guardians 5-2-10. Royals 65-95. Cleveland 90-70. Pirates over the Cardinals 3-2 on a walk with O'Neill Cruz at the plate. Pittsburgh 61-99, St. Louis 92-68. Marlins over the Brewers 4-0. Marlins 68-92, Atlanta 160. Reds over the Cubs 3-1. The Reds 61-99. The Cubs are 73-87. Blue Jays over the Orioles 5-1-8 in a rain-shortened game. Toronto 91-69. Baltimore 82-78. Yankees over the Rangers 3-1. The Yankees are 98-61. Texas is 66-93. Red Sox over the Rays 4-3. Red Sox 76-84. Tampa 86-74. Brewers over the Diamondbacks 6-5-10 on a walk-off single by Hunter Renfroe. Brewers are 85-75. Arizona 73-87. Phillies over the Astros 3-0 to clinch the final playoff spot in the National League. Phillies 87-73. Houston's 104-56. As the Phils clinch their first playoff spot since 2011. White Sox over the Twins 3-2. White Sox 80-80. Minnesota 77-83. A's over the Angels 5-4-10 on a walk-off single by Tony Kemp. Oakland's 58-102. LA is 73-87. Tigers over the Mariners 4-3. The Tigers are 66-93. Seattle 87-72. Padres over the Giants 7-4. The Padres 88-72. San Francisco 80-80. So my under bet for the Giants will come through that I made before the year on their win total. Rocks over the Dodgers 2-1. The Rocks are 67-93. The Dodgers are 110-50. Okay, now we look ahead to today's games. 2:00 doubleheader game 1. Yankees, Rangers, Jameson, Taillon, and John Gray. Taillon's been tremendous of late for the Yankees. I think he should be their fourth starter going into the postseason behind Garrett Cole, Luis Severino, and Nestor Cortez. But I think it's going to be Cole, Cortez, Severino, and then Taillon in the 4 spot in that rotation. Yanks are -134. Texas is +114. Over under 7. Overs -106. Unders -114. Yankees -1.5 is +134. Texas +1.5 is -162. I like the under in this game a lot. And John Gray hasn't been bad this year for Texas. 4:00 makeup game. Doubleheader game 1. Nats, Mets. Corey Abbott, Carlos Carrasco. Game's not posted yet. Royals, Guardians at 6. Daniel Lynch and Cal Quantrill. Guardians -184. Royals +154. Over under 7. Overs -124. Unders +102. Royals +1.5 is -138. Guardians -1.5 is +115. Oh, I'm going to go with the Guardians run line. I think it has some value, even though they have that division wrapped up. Doubleheader game 1, Tigers, Mariners. Eduardo Rodriguez and Chris Flexen. Would have been the season opening series. Every series going on right now would have been each team's opening day series if not for the lockout. Mariners minus 174, Tigers plus 146, over under 7. Minus 110 Detroit, Tigers plus 1.5 is minus 154, Mariners minus 1.5 is plus 128. I'm going to go with the over, but I don't feel super about it. 6:30, Cards Pirates, Dakota Hudson and JT Brubaker. I don't see that game posted either. But if the Cardinals are minus money on the run line, Pittsburgh run line would be a play. And maybe I'd consider the over. Braves Marlins, Jake Odorizzi, Braxton Garrett. Braves can win the division with a win and a Mets loss. That game's not posted either. A lot of these games aren't posted for some reason because it's the unpredictability of what each team's going to do. But the Braves got to play everybody. The division's not done yet, and they lost yesterday. Cubs Reds, Javier Assad and Luis Sessa. Reds minus 112, Cubs minus 104, over under 8.5, minus 110 Detroit. Cubs minus 1.5 is plus 152, Reds plus 1.5 is minus 184. Cubs favored on the run line, Reds favored on the money line. I'm going with Cincinnati at minus 112. 7 o'clock, Blue Jays Orioles, Mitch White and Mike Baumann. Jays minus 116, Orioles minus 102, over under 7.5, overs even money, unders minus 122. Jays minus 1.5 is plus 158, Orioles plus 1.5 is minus 192. I'm going with the Blue Jays at minus 116. I think that has some value for a late season game. They have the 4 seed locked up. So they're going to have home field advantage against either Seattle or Tampa Bay. Rays Red Sox, Jeffrey Springs and Nathan Eovaldi. Rays minus 118, Sox even money, over under 7.5, overs minus 115, unders minus 105. Rays minus 1.5 is plus 146. Red Sox plus 1.5 is minus 176. Maybe Nate Eovaldi's final start as a member of the Red Sox. Even money, 48.5%. I see value from taking the Red Sox. Plus, I think the Rays are trying to low-key tank, so they can play the Guardians and not the Blue Jays. They can play the Guardians and the Yankees and not the Blue Jays and the Astros, which is very wise of Tampa. 7:30, you have the D-backs at the Brewers. Zach Gallen, Eric Lauer, Brewers obviously eliminated from playoff contention. The D-backs are favored, minus 116. Brewers are minus 102, over under 12. 7. Overs minus 112, unders minus 108. D-backs minus 1.5 is plus 158. Brewers plus 1.5 is minus 192. The numbers say bet the Brewers, but I'm going with the Diamondbacks because the Brewers are going to have a letdown, even though they just had a walk-off and they're eliminated, so they have nothing to play for. Nats Mets game 2. Paolo Espino, Taijuan Walker. Mets minus 260, Nats plus 215, over under 7, overs minus 118, unders minus 104. Nats plus 1.5 is minus 105, Mets minus 1.5 is minus 113. I'm going to go with the juiced over. 8 o'clock, Yanks Rangers game 2. Garrett Cole, we don't know, is going for Texas. PBS or TBS, I almost said PBS. That would have been weird. Phil's Astros, Ranger Suarez and Justin Verlander. Astros minus 178, Phil's plus 150, over under 7, overs minus 108, unders minus 112. Phil's plus 1.5 is minus 156, Astros minus 1.5 is plus 130. I'm going to go with the under. I think the Phils have a letdown after, I think Astros and under would be a good same game parlay. Letdown for the Phils after the clinch yesterday. Twins, White Sox, Josh Winder and Lucas Giolito. White Sox minus 130, Twins plus 110, over under 7.5, overs minus 108, unders minus 112. Twins plus 1.5 is minus 205, White Sox minus 1.5 is plus 168. I like the over easily. Angels, A's at 9:30, Michael Lorenz and Cole Irvin. Angels minus 134, A's plus 114, over under 7.5, overs minus 106, unders minus 114. Angels -1.5 is +126. A's +1.5 is -152. I'm going over on this one, too. Tigers-Mariners doubleheader game, too. We don't know who's pitching yet. Giants-Padres, we don't know what's going for San Francisco and San Diego. It's Sean Manaea. Actually, no, it's Carlos Rodon for San Fran. Padres -146. Giants +124. Over under 6.5. Actually, we just went to 7. Overs -105. Unders -115. Giants +1.5 is -184. Padres -1.5 is +152. I'm going with the Giants +124 to win outright. And Rockies Dodgers at 10. Ryan Feltner and Julio Urias. Dodgers -360. Rockies +290. Over under 7.5. Overs -115. Unders -105. Rockies +1.5 is +128. Dodgers -1.5 is -154. I like the over, but I don't feel strong about it. All right, the NHL preseason. We'll go over the results from yesterday and look ahead to tonight's preseason slate. Devils over the Bruins 1-0. Maple Leafs over the Canadiens 5-1. Hurricanes over the Blue Jackets 8-1. Penguins over the Red Wings 3-2. Avs over the Stars 3-1. Oilers over the Canucks 7-2. And the Flames over the Kraken 4-1. 6 preseason games today. 7 o'clock, you have the Islanders at the Flyers from Philly. Each team's -115 over under 5.5. Overs -120. Unders -105. Islanders -1.5 is +120. Flyers +1.5 is -290. I'm going with the Islanders. Senators, Canadians, the betting thing is locked at that game for the time being. NHL Network, Hurricanes, Sabres. Sabres -130. Canes even money over under 6. Overs -110. Unders -115. Canes -1.5 is +200. Sabres -1.5 or +1.5 is -260. I'm going with Carolina even money. Wild Blues at 8. That's locked for the time being. And then the 2 night games, 10 o'clock Coyotes Golden Knights and Kings Ducks on NHL Network. No betting available for that game. Or those 2 games either. All right, now I'll move on to the NBA preseason. We'll go over the results from yesterday and look ahead to tonight's preseason action. 76ers over the Nets, 127-108. Tyrese Maxey had 20. Kevin Durant had 13 and 4 boards. Ben Simmons had 6 points, 5 assists against his former team. Grizzlies over the Magic, 109-97. John Morant, 22.7 assists. Cole Anthony had 17. Thunder over the Nuggets, 112-101. Trey Mann, 17 points. Zeke Naji had 15 and 6 boards. Kings over the Lakers, 105-75. Oof. Keegan Murray, 16.6 boards. And Anthony Davis had 11 and 11. And the Clippers over the Trailblazers, 102-97 from Seattle. Amir Coffey had 15 points, and Dame had 16 for Portland. And Kawhi played for the first time and had 11 points in his first game, or first action back from the ACL injury. All right, tonight's preseason game, 7 o'clock on TNT. Pistons-Knicks from the Garden. Ooh, that's actually a good one for preseason. Cade Cunningham against R.J. Barrett. Let's go. Love it. Basketball, here we go. So the Knicks are 4-point favorites. I'm laying it with the Knicks. I think that this is actually a fun preseason game, and I think its line is short. So I'm going to lay the 4 with the New York Knicks against the Pistons. 7:30, the Timberwolves against the Heat. The Heat are 5-point favorites. I'm taking the Timberwolves getting the 5. 9:30, TNT Pelicans Bulls. This game would have been more fun if Lonzo was playing, because it's Lonzo against his old team, but We see Zion potentially. The Bulls are favored by 1.5. I'm taking New Orleans. And at 10 o'clock, the Jazz against the Trailblazers. Blazers are 4-point favorites. Second of a back-to-back. The Jazz really have nobody left. I'm going to lay the 4 with Portland against Utah. All right, now I'm going to do my NFL power rankings as we head into Week 5 in a couple of days. The theme is going to be what have we learned through 4 weeks. Number 32, the Washington Commanders. The Commanders. What have we learned about the Commanders? We've learned that Carson Wentz is just not. They're never going to be a top flight quarterback ever again. I mean, I feel like we knew that already, but when are teams going to learn that? Number 31, the Houston Texans. And by the way, the Commanders are 1-3. Texans are 0-2-1. Or 0-3-1, my mistake. What have we learned for the Texans? They can still be very, very spunky in these games. They nearly upset the Chargers. They could have upset the Broncos. They could have upset the Colts. Number 30 is the Chicago Bears. They're 2-2. We've learned that Justin Fields might need the right talent around him to have success. But that's the case for most quarterbacks. But Fields has just been terrible through 4 weeks. And he has no talent around him other than Darnell Mooney, who I don't even like. Number 29 is the Indianapolis Colts. They're 1-3. What have you learned? Matt Ryan is washed. He's just been terrible this season. I don't know what happened to him. The Colts fans and Jim Irsay and Frank Reich thought that Matt Ryan was going to turn back into the MVP player from 2016. He's not that anymore. Number 28, the New Orleans Saints, they're 1-3. What have we learned from the Saints? I think it's obvious that Dennis Allen's a huge downgrade from Sean Payton. I think we all knew that coming into the year. But what we've learned about the Saints is that Jameis Winston and Andy Dalton might not be the quarterback upgrade that the Saints were looking for. I know they've had moments, but I feel like the Saints thought that they could have improved better on the quarterback position. I don't know if Russell Wilson would have been the answer either, as for what we've seen the first several weeks. But, yeah. Number 27, the Carolina Panthers, they're 1-3 on the season. What have we learned? Baker Mayfield is not the future of the Carolina Panthers. He's been awful these first 4 weeks. He's been booed at home. And I think that this team could end up in tank mode. Number 26, the Detroit Lions, they're 1-3 on the season. What have we learned from the Lions? Is that they're going to be in a lot of high-scoring games. We saw against Washington. We saw against the Eagles. We saw against Seattle. That they're going to be in these high-scoring games, win or lose. And their defense is just atrocious. Number 25 is the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're also 1-3 on the season. What have we learned about the Steelers? Is that T.J. Watt has been by far the biggest absence any team has had this season. It's true. The Dallas Cowboys are 3-1 without Dak Prescott. If T.J. Watt didn't get injured, the Steelers might be 4-0. I know Mitch Trubisky's been god-awful. He has deservingly been benched for Kenny Pickett. But that T.J. Watt injury is going to cost them their season, perhaps. And if I'm Pittsburgh, do you sit T.J. Watt if you're 1-7? You don't bring him back and you tank and try to get like a top 3 pick. And maybe you trade, maybe say the Giants don't feel good about Daniel Jones. And Pittsburgh's sitting there with the number 3 pick in the draft. Kenny Pickett, they already have their quarterback. And Pittsburgh is probably, maybe they're the 49ers from a couple years ago. And it's just a year from hell and just accept it. But except the 49ers traded up to get Lance, which we'll get to them in a moment. But say if you're Pittsburgh, you're terrible. You end up like 5-12, end up with a top 5 pick. And say the Giants end up at like 8-9 and end up with like the 16th pick or something like that. And the Giants want a quarterback. They can trade all the way up. And Pittsburgh can get a lot of stuff back to try to help retool the roster around Pickett and TJ Watt. It's just an idea. Even though it's week 4, maybe, who knows, maybe Pittsburgh turns their season around, maybe the Giants fall apart, whatever, but it's just a hypothetical idea I thought of just now. Number 24 is the New England Patriots. They're 1-3 on the season. What have we learned? We have learned that the weakness on this team might be the quarterback position. I mean, Mac Jones hasn't been lighting the world on fire. Like, Daniel Jones has arguably been better than Mac Jones this year. And that's not a good look for New England at all. Because Daniel Jones is 3-1. Mac Jones was 1-2. And single-handedly murdered them against the Ravens in a game which yours truly had on the money line. But, yeah, Mac's been so bad this year. And even, I mean, if he played in the Packer game, maybe they beat Green Bay, but so it's interesting. Let's see with New England. Number 23 is the New York Jets. They're 2-2 on the season. You can make a case this is the worst 2-2 team in the league. What have we learned about the Jets? That's a tough one. Because you can make a case that this team should be 0-4. They probably should be 0-4 because it took 2 miracle comebacks for them to be 500 against the TJ Wattless Steelers and the Deshaun Watson-less Browns. And if those 2 players are healthy, the Jets are 0-4. That's just facts. But back to my question, what have we learned about the Jets? Is, quite frankly, what we've learned about them is that they're probably fourth quarter warriors and they just don't quit. They're not quitting on Robert Saleh. And I'm not a Robert Saleh fan. Jets fans really didn't like him last year. And he's probably out the door if they don't have a respectable record. Number 22 is the Seattle Seahawks. They're also 2-2 on the season. What we've learned, no Russell Wilson, no problem? Is that for real? They're 2-2, and Geno Smith played out of his mind against the Pistons. But, in reality, what we've learned is that, that maybe they did the right thing by cashing in on Russell Wilson. And maybe, like, that Steelers scenario, maybe the Seahawks are better than expected, and they don't think Geno Smith's their long-term guy, and they're the team that moves up to get a quarterback in the draft, and, like, if the Steelers were to have a top 5 pick. And Seattle would be, say, 9th or 10th. It'd be easier for Seattle to move up than, say, the Giants if they were picking, like, 16th. But we'll see. Number 21 is the Atlanta Falcons. They're 2-2 on the season. I mean, reality with the Falcons is that they're a couple of plays away from being 4-0. That's why I had them ahead of the Jets in the power rankings. And they're ahead of the Seahawks because they beat them head-to-head. And not every head-to-head is indicated in the power rankings. By the way, obviously. But what we learned about Atlanta is that they're better than advertised. Much better than advertised. No Calvin Ridley, no problem. And they've just been doing their thing. I know no Patterson for a couple weeks is going to hurt them. But, yeah, they're better than advertised, but they should probably be starting Desmond Ridder at this point. I wouldn't be shocked if Mariota is benched in a month from now. Number 20 is the Las Vegas Raiders. They're 1-3 in the season. By far and away the best 1-3 team in football. They had that much-needed win over the Broncos because they're going to Kansas City next week. That's no easy task whatsoever. But what we've learned about the Raiders is that Josh McDaniels hasn't changed. He's just not a good coach. If Daboll was the Raiders coach, Brian Daboll, they'd be 4-0 probably. You could say that about a couple teams about Daboll, because he was clearly the I don't want to step on my my Giants stuff, but he's fabulous. Number 19, the Tennessee Titans are 2-2 on the season. What have we learned about Tennessee? This is a tough one. But what have we learned is that Ryan Tannehill probably won't be the starter for much longer. I think them winning on Sunday was important, but I wouldn't be shocked if he's not the starting quarterback in several weeks from now. Number 18 is the New York Giants. They're 3-1 the season. They're by far the worst 3-1 team in the league. They're not going to be in the top half of the power rankings unless they beat a legitimate team. If they beat Dallas, they would have been the top half because Dallas is legitimate. But what we learned about the Giants is that they easily had the best coaching hire in Brian Daboll. Easily. I just mentioned if he was the Raider coach, they'd be undefeated. If he was a couple other teams' coaches, they'd be undefeated. Denver. A couple of these teams. I wouldn't say Minnesota. Only because of Primetime Kirk. But if he was the Bronco or the Raider coach, those two teams would be undefeated. So what we learned about the Giants is that they absolutely hit it out of the ballpark with Daboll, and he's easily the best hire of the offseason. Number 17 is the Cleveland Browns. They're 2-2 on the season. What have we learned about the Browns is that no Deshaun Watson, no problem. They're 2-2. I know, granted, they beat Mitch Trubisky and Marcus Mariota. That's the case against the Browns. But they're still 2-2 without Deshaun Watson, which isn't terrible. And no Watson, no problem is saying how good the rest of the roster is. Not about Watson at all. Number 16 is the Arizona Cardinals. They're 2-2 on the season. What have we learned about Arizona? Is that they might have got it right with Hollywood Brown. He's been really good for Arizona. Number 15 is the Denver Broncos. They are 2-2 on the season. What have we learned about the Broncos this year? We've learned that Pete Carroll was not holding back Russell Wilson, so this kind of correlates with the Seahawks. Those two teams will always be linked, no matter what, because of Russell Wilson. And I just don't think he's the same guy as he was in his early Seattle years. I just don't. Number 14 is the Minnesota Vikings. They are 3-1 on the season. What have we learned about Minnesota? New coach Kirk Cousins hasn't changed. Primetime Kirk is still a thing. And they're still going to lose games inexplicably because of him. Number 13 is the Los Angeles Rams. It's amazing that they're this low. They're 2-2 on the season. What have we learned about the Rams? The obvious, the Super Bowl hangover is still a thing. I know the team might not be as good as they were last year because no Odell, no Von Miller. Those are two huge pieces to their Super Bowl run a year ago. But they're like, hey, no problem. We can go out and sign Allen Robinson and sign Bobby Wagner. Guess what? They're 2-2. Number 12, the San Francisco 49ers. They're 2-2 on the year after a much-needed win last night over the Rams. What have we learned about the 49ers? What have we learned about them is that they're unpredictable. They lay an absolute egg in Denver, and that's why they're not in the top 10 because of that Denver game. They're not in the top 10. I'm never going to get over that, how bad they looked in that game. And then they turn around on Monday night with an extra day to prepare and look like a team that can go to the Super Bowl from the NFC. So I think what we've learned about the Niners is that they're the most unpredictable team. Number 11 is the Los Angeles Chargers. They are 2-2 on the season. What have we learned about the Chargers? It's quite simple. Is that nothing's changed. They're still the Chargers. Everybody's hurt. They nearly blew that Texans game. They were terrible against the Jaguars. They should have beaten the Chiefs. But Justin Herbert looked better than he did the previous week, so that's good for them. But I feel like it's the same old song and dance with the Chargers. Slater out, Bosa out. Like, when are these guys going to stay healthy? Number 10, the Jacksonville Jaguars, 2-2 on the season. They don't drop out of the top 10, even though they lost to Philly. But look at it this way. They should have beaten Washington, and they lost to a team that's the last team that's still undefeated. But what we've learned about the Jaguars is that Urban Meyer really did hold Trevor Lawrence back. If that wasn't any more obvious. Number 9 is the Dallas Cowboys. They're 3-1 on the season. Quite frankly, what have we learned about the Cowboys? No Dak, no problem. They're 3-1 without Dak and with Cooper Rush starting at quarterback. Running the ball really good. Ezekiel Elliott's been really good. That's the best I've seen him in a couple years. Their defense is still amazing. DeMarcus Lawrence is just a beast. And obviously Parsons. But really, what we learned is that they haven't missed Dak Prescott. Number 8, the Cincinnati Bengals. They're 2-2 on the season. They're still ahead of the Cowboys because just simply because that they beat the Dolphins on Thursday Night Football, and then I know they beat the crummy Jets, but the Cowboys beat the Cincinnati team, the Giants, and Washington. So that's the case against Dallas. And then you could say about the Bengals, they beat the Jets, but the best win between those two teams was Cincinnati's win over Miami on Thursday Night Football, sans the Tua debacle, which we'll get into eventually. But what we learned about the Bengals so far this year is that offensive line's not improved. Just not. I know they made some changes, but it hasn't looked improved so far. Number 7 is the Baltimore Ravens. They are 2-2 on the season. This is a hard one. What have we learned about the Ravens? Quite frankly, is that what we learned about the Ravens is they really I just don't think their defense is as good. So we're going to go with that. Their defense isn't as good as advertised. They blew the big lead against Tua and the Dolphins, and they blew that Bills game. So quite frankly, their defense isn't the same. They've really missed Wink Martindale. That's another fabulous hire by the Giants. That's the best coordinator hire of the offseason for me. Number 6, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 2-2 on the season. What we learned is so obvious is that Father Time's catching up to Tom Brady. I declared him washed on the podcast a couple weeks ago, but he played well against the Chiefs. He really did. He kept them in the game. I know he got Godwin and Evans back, and he didn't have Cam Brate in that game, but I think Father Time has caught up to Brady. Number 5 is the Green Bay Packers. They are 3-1 on the season. What have we learned about Green Bay? Is that they're going to be more of a running team than a passing team because their receivers are way worse, obviously with no Adams, and their running game is just so good, and obviously they have a good offensive line to help. Number 4 is the Miami Dolphins. They're 3-1 on the season. What have we learned about them? Sans the concussion issues, Tua Tagovailoa is massively improved. He really has. He was so good in that comeback. He was really good in that Bengals game until he got hurt again. He showed some stuff in the Bills game. And because of that, they're probably going to make the playoffs. Assuming he doesn't miss that much time. Number 3 is the Buffalo Bills. They're 3-1 on the season. What have we learned about the Buffalo Bills? Is that they're easily the team to beat in the AFC. Easily. I know they're not number 2 in the power rankings, but they probably should be. But I did that because they should have lost to the Ravens. That's why they're number 3. Number 2 is the Kansas City Chiefs. They're also 3-1 on the season. The reason why they're number 2 is that they should be 4-0. That was a fluke loss to the Colts. But what have we learned about Kansas City? Quite frankly, no Tyreek, no problem. It's been the opposite of Green Bay. Like, Mahomes is still Mahomes. Kelsey is a magician. And they really haven't missed Tyreek Hill that much. And number 1, the Philadelphia Eagles. They're 4-0 on the season. What we learned about them is that they have the NFC's most improved quarterback in Jalen Hurts. Is that Jalen Hurts is for real. No more talk about the Eagles with all those draft picks moving up to get a quarterback. Come on. I mean, if Hurts flops in the postseason, that's a different story. But Hurts has been so good to start the year. And it's a big reason why this team is still undefeated. All right, so there you have it for my NFL power rankings for the week. Now we'll move on to my NHL center rankings. 128 players made the list. It's every team's projected top 4. I'm going to try to be very, very quick on this one. 128, Max William, Flyers. Number 27, Jujhar Khaira, Blackhawks. 126, Steven Laurent, Sharks. 125, Adam Brooks, Flyers. 124, Laurent Dauphin, Coyotes. 123, Dakota Joshua, Canucks. 122, Dylan Gramble, Senators. 121, Mackenzie Entwistle, Blackhawks. 121, Mackenzie Entwistle, Blackhawks. 120, Zemgus Girgensons, Sabres. 119, Ryan Carpenter, Rangers. 118, Devon Shore, Oilers. 117, Jack McBain, Coyotes. 116, David Gustafson, Jets. 115, Jake Evans, Canadiens. 114, Blake Lizotte, Kings. 113, Nick Dowd, Capitals. 112, Adam Lowry, Jets. 111, Logan Brown, Blues. 110, Pierre-Edouard Bellemare, Lightning. 109, Morgan Geekie, Kraken. 108, Eetu Larottinen, Panthers. 107, Teddy Bluger, Penguins. 106, Darren Helm, Avalanche. 105, Michael McLeod, Devils. 104, Radek Fosca, Stars. 103, David Kampf, Maple Leafs. 102, Colin White, Panthers. 101, Casey Cizikas, Islanders. 100, Colton Sissons, Predators. 99, Jack Drury, Hurricanes. 98, Tomas Nosek, Bruins. 97, Cody Eakin, Flames. 96, Sean Curley, Blue Jackets. 95, Pius Suter, Red Wings. Or Pius Suter. 94, Ryan McLeod, Oilers. 93, Filipino, Rangers. 92, Cody Glass, Predators. 91, Riley Damiani, Stars. 90, Cole Sillinger, Blue Jackets. 89, Michael Rasmussen, Red Wings. 88, Mason McTavish, Ducks. 87, Marco Rossi, Wild. 86, Barrett Hayton, Coyotes. 85, Charlie Coyle, Bruins. 84, Lars Eller, Capitals. 83, Shane Pinto, Senators. 82, Morgan Frost, Flyers. 81, Nick Bonino, Sharks. 80, Juan Gabriel Pageau, Islanders. 79, Nick Paul, Lightning. 78, Jordan Stahl, Hurricanes. 77, Casey Middlestat, Sabres. 76, Alexander Wenberg, Blue Jackets. 75, Jesperi Kotkaniemi, Hurricanes. 74, Nicholas Roy, Golden Knights. 73, Vladislav Nemestikov, Lightning. 72, JT Compher, Avalanche. 71, Christian Dvorak, Canadiens. 70, Max Domi, Blackhawks. 69, Frederick Gaudreau, Wild. 68, Eric Cowell, Devils. 67, Kevin Hayes, Flyers. 66, Isaac Lundstrom, Ducks. 65, Alex Newhook, Avalanche. 64, Matty Beniers, Kraken. 63, Dylan Strome, Capitals. 62, Mikael Backlund, Flames. 61, Boone Jenner, Blue Jackets. 60, William Karlsson, Golden Knights. 59, Andrew Kopp, Red Wings. 58, Jeff Carter, Penguins. 57, Sean Monahan, Flames. 56, Brock Nelson, Islanders. 55, Yanni Goudreau, Kraken. 54, Alexander Kerfoot, Maple Leafs. 53, Philip Deneau, Kings. 52, Sam Bennett, Panthers. 51, Jack Roslovic, Blue Jackets. 50, Ryan Johansson, Predators. 49, Joel Eriksson Ek, Wild. 48, Dylan Cousins, Sabres. 47, Nick Schmaltz, Coyotes. 46, Joshua Norris, Senators. 45, Ryan Strome, Ducks. 44, Chandler Stevenson, Golden Knights. 43, David Krejci, Bruins. 42, Mikhail Granlund, Predators. 41, Vincent Trocheck, Rangers. 40, Matt Barzal, Islanders. 39, Tim Stützle, Senators. 38, Quentin Byfield, Kings. 37, Ryan Hartman, Wild. 36, Bo Horvat, Canucks. 35, Nico Hischier, Devils. 34, Logan Couture, Sharks. 33, Tyler Seguin, Stars. 32, Nazem Kadri, Flames. 31, Robert Thomas, Blues. 30, Root Pence, Stars. 29, Thomas Hertl, Sharks. 28, Braden Shen, Blues. 27, Pierre-Luc Dubois, Jets. 26, Jonathan Taves, Blackhawks. 25, Evgeny Malkin, Penguins. 24, Anze Kopitar, Kings. 23, Nick Suzuki, Canadiens. 22, Trevor Zegras, Ducks. 21, Elias Pettersson, Canucks. 20, Jack Hughes, Devils. 19, Tage Thompson, Sabres. 18, Dylan Larkin, Red Wings. 17, Patrice Bergeron, Bruins. 16, John Tavares, Maple Leafs. 15, Evgeny Kuznetsov, Capitals. 14, J.T. Miller, Canucks. 13, Ryan O'Reilly, Blues. 12, Mark Sheffley, Jets. 11, Mika Zibanejad, Rangers. 10, Elias Lindholm, Flames. 9, Braden Point, Lightning. 8, Jack Eichel, Golden Knights. 7, Sidney Crosby, Penguins. 6, Alexander Barkov, Panthers. 5, Sebastian Aho, Carolina Hurricanes. 4, Leon Draisaitl, Edmonton Oilers. 3, Austin Matthews, Toronto Maple Leafs. 2, Nathan McKinnon, Colorado Avalanche. And number 1, if there wasn't any doubt, Connor McDavid, Edmonton Oilers. Connor McDavid's being a number 1 center, number 1 player, spoiler alert, in the league until further notice. He's just so good. He's a points getter. His teammate Draisaitl I have at the 4th spot, but The two guys I have between them are Nathan McKinnon and Austin Matthews. McKinnon, obviously, first time winning the Stanley Cup in his career. Has yet to eclipse 100 points in a season, but that's because of injury. Austin Matthews won the Hart Trophy last year, so he belongs in the top three. Draisaitl won the Hart Trophy a few years ago. Sebastian Aho is a star. Alexander Barkov is super duper underrated. Crosby's still Crosby, but I think that health and age could finally get to him this year. Jack Eichel's going to have a big bounce back this year at the Golden Knights. Point, I think, will be healthy for the Lightning. And Lindholm will have a big year on Calgary. You can make a case Zibanejad, Shifley, O'Reilly, JT Miller belong in the top 10. Or even guys like Kuznetsov and Tavares and even Patrice Bertrand. You could argue guys 11 through 17 belong on the top 10 of this list. So that was it. The center rankings before the year. All right, we'll move on to Dancing with the Stars now. Interesting episode last night as the theme was 60 years of James Bond. So first up was Charlie and Mark. They did a rumba dance to No Time to Die by Billie Eilish from No Time to Die and got a 33. Cheryl and Lewis did a rumba routine to Diamonds Are Forever by Shirley Bassey from Diamonds Are Forever and got a 24. Trevor and Emma did a tango routine to You Know My Name by Chris Cornell from Casino Royale and got a 27. Daniel and Britt did a rumba routine to The World Is Not Enough by Garbage from The World Is Not Enough and got a 31. Jordan and Brandon did a rumba dance to License to Kill by Gladys Knight from License to Kill and got a 29. Sam and Cheryl did a samba dance to Los Muertos Vivos Están by Thomas Newton featuring Tambuco from Spectre and got a 25. Selma and Sasha did a rumba dance to For Your Eyes Only by Sheena Easton from For Your Eyes Only and got a 28. Wayne and Winnie did a tango dance to The Name's Bond, James Bond by David Arnold and Nicholas Dodd from Casino Royale and got a 33. Vinny and Coco did a rumba dance to Thunderball by Tom Jones from Thunderball and got a 23. Heidi and Artem did an Argentine tango routine to Another Way to Die by Jack White and Alicia Keys from Quantum of Solace and got a 32. Shangela and Gleb did a rumba to Goldeneye by Tina Turner from Goldeneye and got a 30. Jesse and Alan did a rumba dance to Goldfinger by Shirley Bassey from Goldfinger and got a 26. Joseph and Alexis did an Argentine tango to Writings on the Wall by Sam Smith from Spectre and got a 29. And Gabby and Val did a cha-cha-cha to Die Another Day by Madonna from Die Another Day and got a 33. So the bottom two were Cheryl and Lewis and Sam and Cheryl, ironically enough. And the judges' votes the same. Bruno went with Sam and Cheryl, so did Carrie Ann and Derek. Len did not vote, but would have saved Sam and Cheryl. But who goes home? Cheryl and Lewis. I did not like either of those two pairings routines. I didn't like Thunderball either. I don't know how they were safe. I just don't think that Cheryl Burke has really been like the professional that has been on fire the last several seasons. She's kind of dipped a little bit. Like, when the show came out, she was like the best professional dancer. But I feel like that she's not up to par on where she thinks that she should be. But she almost got eliminated, and I don't think her and Sam Champion had that great of a routine. But Cheryl and Lewis probably should have been in the bottom two, but I think that Vinny and Coco should have gone home, as I predicted on yesterday's show. All right, very quick news and notes for today. So the Tua Tagovailoa situation is crazy. He's out against the Jets, which is no surprise. There's some speculation that he's going to miss several weeks, and they'll talk about what the punishment's going to be for the Dolphins. So something to keep an eye out as Teddy Bridgewater will start on Sunday in MetLife Stadium against the Jets. The Laker coach on Russell Westbrook, he's ours, as he didn't sound like he wants to make a trade after the preseason loss. It was a loss in the preseason. I know they lost by 30 to the Kings, but nobody plays in preseason, really. And obviously the Phillies break the playoff drought. Rob Thompson says 13 more wins and then we're champions. That is really, really inspiring. Rob Thompson has a ring. He was a bench coach for Joe Girardi with the Yankees. So he has a ring. And he's very confident in this Phillies team. I don't know how they'll look in the playoffs. But good for them. Their season's a success now that they made the postseason. So we talked about the Lakers a little bit in the preseason. Kawhi came back. We talked about Ben Simmons playing in that Brooklyn preseason game. We might see Zion tonight against the Bulls, which would be interesting. And we really don't have that many news and significant notes of the day, other than Tony La Russa announcing that he is stepping down due to health issues. That's not a surprise. I think there's a realistic chance that this was going to happen. And now the question is where the White Sox go from here in terms of who to hire. I don't think they'll go with another big name because I just think that they want to copy everybody else and try to hire the next great guy like Dave Roberts or somebody in like that realm. Kevin Cash. We have a couple of great managers in our game, and not somebody that's a big name, old school, trying to win the press. Like how the Cubs did with David Bross, and the Mets did with Buck, and the Astros did with Dusty. I mean, some might argue Yankees with Aaron Boone, the same thing. I mean, you got. I mean, Cora first go around. It wasn't a try to win the press conference. It was more of a trying to find like the next genius per se. I think the White Sox are gonna go in that sort of direction. All right, last but not least, my best bet of the day brought to you by FanDuel. There's a couple games that I really like. In terms of totals in baseball, yesterday's best bet was a push because the game didn't play. But today's best bet's going to be the over 7.5 in Twins White Sox. I'm going to lay a half unit on it. I just think that there's going to be a lot of runs scored in this game. So I'm going to go over 7.5 between the Twins and the White Sox, which is probably going to be my final baseball best bet of the 2022 regular season because I know where I want to go tomorrow for best bet. Spoiler alert. All right, that's it for the show. I'll be back tomorrow recapping all these games, looking ahead to tomorrow, which is the final day of the regular season. We're obviously on Aaron Judge watch for 62. We have a college football game tomorrow that we have to talk about. I'm going to do a college football exercise on tomorrow's show, potentially with college football playoff resumes through the first month plus, first 6 weeks of the season of college football. And obviously, news and notes and best bet we have to do tomorrow as well. Hope you guys have a great day, everyone.